Welcome back, everyone, to the Splitting Lanes podcast with myself, Robert Simmons, and Q the Rider. The last video that we had, we left off at date night, and we're going to allow Q to possibly explain or try to come up with the what actually went on. All right, so let's bring everybody in here. Here's the guys right here. You guys gotta say what's up, man. You gotta say hello. Don't be giving me no hearts, man. Come on now.
What's going on, guys? What's going on? As usual, I'm going to start by asking Q, have you consumed any intoxicants tonight?
You know, I am in desperate need of a few intoxicants tonight, but I have not.
See, a different background. Are you home?
No, actually, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I am with my daughter's family down here, so I'll be here for a couple of weeks.
All right. That's good. So this is the first time that you're doing this remotely, so that's good.
It is the first time, so hopefully it goes off without a hitch. Now, if you happen to hear any screaming children...
Look, nope. Because all the flack I get for the stuff that goes on in my house...
Be screaming children at some point.
Hey, there's
so
no
we
excuse.
better get moving.
Actually, you know what? Now that we're talking about excuses, I'm going to give you the mic and let you explain what you were about to just a few minutes ago.
Well, I have to start off by correcting a misstatement that I made last week about my beloved wife, who informs me that she does, in fact, ride the motorcycle, and because she rode once this past summer.
Now you digging another grave, man. Come on now.
Well, you know, my grave is comfortable. Throw a blanket over myself. But no, my wife does ride. She has a lot of riding gear, and it all looks really, really good. It's damn near brand new, as if it hasn't been worn. I'm in so much trouble.
Well, you're really not. I mean, if she, well, first of all, are you sure it was only one time? Are you sure?
I am not sure, but we did go riding with we've probably been riding a couple of times last year.
Which motorcycle?
Oh, Idly. It's the most comfortable bike I have. Yeah, without question.
So in your defense, it's one time in a 365-day period. She can't really blame you for forgetting about it.
Well, out of fairness, she has done YouTube videos with me riding because we did some two-up practice. She's ridden to somewhere in Oklahoma and ridden around Memphis a lot. So, and here in Atlanta, because I brought a motorcycle with me, she brought her helmet, all because of Splitting Lanes episode 3.
Nice. Look at that, man.
Right. That's right.
And who says, you know the saying, spare the rod, spoil the child?
Right.
Who says that ass kicking won't get things to change? Look at how many good job. He was like, well, in fairness, she did walk past the motorcycle one day and kind of up against it. That counts as a ride.
If I can trick her onto the bike, I should just start heading towards Savannah. She can't stop me.
Dang,
she can stop me.
Look, I know better, man. We ain't gonna touch that. So, actually, a matter of fact, we're gonna get into today's topics. Of course, you guys have seen it all around the internet. But Indian Motorcycle and Harley Davidson has released the rest of the lineup for 2025. So we are going to go through and discuss, I guess, you know, what we think about each of the releases. Some of the bikes, we're not going to go into depth. There's enough videos out there that go into depth. But we just want to get kind of like, just what our thoughts are on the bikes. So,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we're not going to go into depth.
so
that would be a first.
Yeah.
What's the catchphrase for this channel? What are we known to do?
Oh man,
what's known to happen?
Yeah.
We're known to switch directions. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Right, don't make any promises, man.
You're right. So so Q doesn't have any ammo. We'll let him go first. So what did you think about the 2025s on either side? Plus, were there any things that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I wasn't aware that Indian did a release, first of all. That's a little surprising news to me.
Wait a minute. Hold on. First off, remember when I texted you guys, I said I hadn't seen anything from Harley. You know, the only reason that I knew that they released was because of a podcast that's a primarily Indian motorcycle channel. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
All good. I'll say. I mean, well, for Indian, I thought um, they did some nice safety upgrades for the the features that they added with ABS, the hill brake assist, and whatever that cornering thing was. I wasn't really sold on that because I'm a big believer in the rider learning how to control the bike and not being overly reliant on technology. I mean, Harley has some of the same cornering, ABS assistance, whatever. Learn how to ride the bike. Because if you rely too much on the safety technology built in the bike and don't know how to control it yourself, what happens if your ABS module fails? What are you gonna do? Learn how to ride your bike. That's the beginning. I mean,
So both companies have had the
same thing.
yeah, they've had the same thing since like
Yeah.
20, right? That
Isn't
that
I
was
don't
I'm
know.
sorry.
It started. That sounds
good.
about right. But I'm just saying, I think it's great. ABS I love. The rest of it they can keep. It's like the what is it? The hill brake assist thing where you just it'll hold the bike. I don't like that at all, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a neat feature if you ever really need it, but if somebody screws up and use that sitting at an intersection and they're sitting there and somebody comes barreling up behind them and they need to take off and they need to figure out in a panic how to disengage that thing, nah, you shouldn't be screwing around at an intersection. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. So I'm just not a fan of, the nanny security, what do you call it, tech stuff. I don't like that stuff. They can keep it
I
all, Harley and Indian both, and learn how to
I
ride your bike.
disagree. I definitely disagree with that. First of all, with the hill assist, I use that all the time. And if anything is happening at a light and I need to go, all you gotta do is hit the throttle. It goes. There's nothing to think of how to disengage it. You can either pull the brake or press the brake or just throttle the motorcycle and it'll go. Anything that's going to make the bike safer or help me out. I mean, it's 2025, so I understand Mike is kind of old school when it comes
Yep.
to that. But if it's going to be something that's going to help me out, oh yeah,
Mhm.
please give it to me. Give it to me. And
I like this and I like the ABS, but it's just I don't know. Learn how to ride the bike. I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, I guess the technology is good. I guess I don't. I hope I'm never in a situation where I need it, but I'm a focus on training. I'm not relying on technology.
Yeah,
here's the
so
analogy. I'll,
oh yeah, go ahead.
here's the analogy I'll give you. So at least in my career in the police department, unless you're somebody that loves to shoot, the required shooting is 2 times a year, right? 2 times a year, you go shoot in a relaxed environment, take a deep breath, 25 yards, 15, 10, 7, right? But why is it that when cops get into a shooting, there's bullets everywhere, right? It's because in a moment of stress, even if you train a lot, you have to really,
Hmm.
really train. You're not gonna. I'm not gonna say you're not, but the odds are you're not gonna react the way you think you're gonna react, and that's where technology comes in. Because if you're gonna say I don't like all of that stuff, but I like ABS. ABS is for the same reason. The answer could be to you,
Hmm.
well, learn how to ride the motorcycle, and you don't need ABS.
Well, well, actually, I agree with you. I don't disagree with that, but I'll give you an example. So my Explorer has something called collision avoidance, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that the government is going to mandate all manufacturers to implement.
Hmm.
It's a pain in the butt because every time somebody's making a turn and it's not that big of a deal, the computer on the car starts going bonkers. Like, oh my God, there's an accident occurring. What the hell are you talking about? Shut up. So it just starts going nuts over stuff because computer technology is not there, as far as I'm concerned, where it can replace the common sense that a human has. And maybe
What do you
one
mean?
day it'll be there, but it's not there now. And I'm
What do you
just
mean
not a
it's going
fan of that stuff.
nuts? What does
Hmm?
that mean? That starts going nuts. What do you mean? What's
Just the
happening?
alerts going off. It alerts, it just says collision assistance. And um, fortunately, it gives me the option to disable the
Hmm.
active collision avoidance. Because my
Hmm.
fear with that is that, it's a bit of a cliche, but we know if a computer thinks there's going to be an accident and it's
So,
going to take an evasive maneuver
hmm
to avoid this collision, and instead it just chooses this collision, I don't want it
hmm
doing that. But maybe there's a scenario where it's helpful. I trust me.
It's yeah. It's
I don't
not
know
the
what that
night.
computer's going to do.
It's not the night 2000. Like it's not going to just take over. Luckily, people that watch this show are pretty much in our generation, so they'll get that. But you see how I got to pay attention to Mike, and people use words to make something sound extreme. Anita does that all the time. He said it starts going crazy. I was like, "Oh, what's happening?" Oh, it's just sending alerts. Beep, beep, beep.
No. It turns red and this siren's going off. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Sirens.
This is
See what I mean? See what I mean?
Quiet down the alarm. Oh,
see how
no.
See how he animated everything and got and it was still the same thing. The sound,
because that's
sounds
how I interpret it. That's how it comes off with this red alert, collision alert, and then it breaks up. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. So
it is a Ford. So
yeah.
Keep that in
First
mind
on race day. First on race day.
First on race day, right? So what I will say,
and I'm going to use Finesse's line. It's America's first car manufacturer.
No. They were the first one. They were the first one to automate.
Okay, that makes them the first.
Did we just make a left turn again? What the hell are we talking about?
No. They weren't.
We came out of the gate and got off at the first exit.
But I'm just saying they weren't the first car manufacturer. They were the first.
There's a lot of cars in Europe too.
Yeah, they were the first to automate. That's the whole. Anyway,
they made the car accessible to the world. That's what they did.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, so as far as the safety systems go, with the I've had personal experience, at least on my Pursuit. I don't think it was a Challenger, but on my Pursuit, no, it was a Challenger. I was taking a corner way faster than what I should be or what I should have been, but that was because I didn't know where I was going and I was going a little too fast. And when I started taking a turn and I got on the brake, if it was not for the IMU, I would have dumped my bike. It was weird because you could actually feel the bike like release it. It was like releasing the brake. So my hand was like pulsing, but I mean, it was crazy. Now, I would like to think that I know how to ride my bike. I mean, obviously there's going to be more to learn, but in that situation where you're just in an unknown thing, I shouldn't have been going as fast as I was going, but that system was there to help me out. But so we don't get too far off track. That wasn't the new technology that came out. The new technology that came out, at least for the Indian motorcycle side, was the radar assistance. So blind spot monitoring, rear collision monitoring, and those things. So now I don't know how.
They showed.
Huh?
I'm sorry, but let me ask you a question. So when I was watching it, they showed a clip of some kind of cornering assistance. And they showed this video clip where one guy made a nice tight turn and one ran wide. You remember seeing that?
That was for the electronic braking assist.
Okay.
That wasn't for cornering. So if you get too hard on the front brake and you're not giving enough rear brake, the computer's going to analyze the position of your lever or pressure or whatever the case may be, and it's going to apply it to the rear brake. From my understanding, you have to have the front brake applied in order for that even to start. So it's not like it's going to be something that's just going to kick on while you're in a corner. Yeah. But you know, it's dependent on you being on that front brake in an emergency situation. From the way that I understand it.
Fair enough. Yep.
Once I get the chance to throw a leg over one, then we can. Well, hopefully I won't be testing that, but
well, test it out. Take a corner too hard and let's see what happens.
I did that already, and it worked. No, but
stuff happens, and that's why I love the technology. It's there in case you need it. So to say, just learn how to ride, we already know what the numbers are. So that wouldn't make any sense. Most people don't know how to ride. So, and even if somebody knows how to ride, stuff happens. Anything could happen, So it's good to have some fail safes. If that's the case, these damn airbags out of my car. I just need to learn how to drive. Stuff happens.
Don't get me started on airbags. Now that's a different topic.
There we go.
I'll go off on airbags.
Man, you need a Flintstone
killed
car,
by
man.
airbags.
Listen,
how many people have been killed by airbags?
How many have been saved?
Yeah, how many people
How
have been
can you know
saved by
that?
airbags?
I love that. I love that. Airbags have saved X number of lives. How do you know? There's
How many has it
absolutely,
killed?
positively no way to know that. Only thing you can know is that the airbag deployed and the airbag didn't kill the person. That's all you know.
I'm gonna
Well,
tell you how
But
okay,
you
what you
can.
can
I'm
know,
gonna tell you
what
how you
is a
can know.
finite number, are people who's have suffered broken necks because of airbags. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be because they learned from the experience of killing all those people and maiming all those children who were
Hmm.
sitting too close to airbags. And that's why kids got to be in the back seat now because people
Hmm.
got hurt by airbags. It was a big freaking
Yeah.
experiment that they unleashed on the world to try to save people. And airbags were initially designed to protect an unbelted or a male who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, who's 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. So
Mhm.
that's why they made him powerful enough to protect that individual. That was the standard that early airbags were built on. And because it was so powerful, it was killing people.
But we're talking about now, and so right
Oh,
now,
they're better. Yeah, I
I
mean, they
know in
learned by
Europe
killing people. It's
they're
fantastic.
way better. What that's listen, that's a lot of things. There's medication. Any medication you take is going to have side effects. There's going to be things that
That
can go wrong. But
and I can
the
volunteer to take medications or not, unless we're talking about COVID.
Oh,
you can
okay.
volunteer to drive that car or not.
Yeah. So
Take that
let's
Mustang out. You won't have to worry about airbags.
It's
but
voluntary. It's
but no, but check
voluntary.
it though. Let's just say you're in charge of a company. It could be any company,
Mm,
right?
right.
And now you are having an issue where somebody using your product
Mm,
has perished, right?
okay.
And now you've got to find, in order to keep selling your product, you have to find a way to mitigate or eliminate the times that people are perishing from whatever it is that they're doing, right? So yes, there's going to be risk. Yes, there's going to be injuries. But
Hmm.
if you're telling me that, you don't want to do this because there's only been a few injuries, but you can't quantify how many people you've saved. I mean, if the numbers go down from the deaths, then
Hmm.
that's enough in itself. So
Listen,
if you're telling me there were more deaths after airbags than there was before airbags,
mhm.
then that's a whole nother topic. But
I'm
that to me doesn't make sense.
no. What I'm saying is that there are people who were confirmed to have been seriously injured and or killed by
Yeah.
airbags deploying.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's impossible to say whether or not an airbag saved a life because you don't know what would have happened if they had the same accident and didn't have the airbag. If they had the seatbelt, would they be okay? We
I,
don't
I think
know.
I think
So
that's
I'm getting it. I guess I'm getting a little technical about that, but words have a meaning. You can't say that an airbag saves someone unless you put them in the exact same accident again without the airbag. Otherwise, you don't know. You're just guessing, making an
I
assumption.
think it's something easy to look at is if you look at the amount of deaths pre and post airbags. I think that'll give
Mhm.
you everything you need to know.
If airbags were the only thing that changed, I would agree with you. But lots of other things have changed, not just airbags. I mean,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
way the
So I
cars are
think.
made have changed. Some of them are heavier. We're all driving bigger, heavier vehicles now. In fact, the
Mhm.
bigger the vehicle you are, the safer you are.
Yeah,
And
the
so if you're in
airbags
one
have
of those little
changed too.
tiny smart cars, I don't care how many airbags you put in there. You run into, big Chevy Silverado 250 diesel. Good luck. Good luck with your airbags. I'll take the Chevy Silverado with just a seatbelt on, and I think my odds would be pretty good.
You'd be
So
surprised.
no, just my point though. I mean, I get it. Do I think airbags make people safer? I do. I'm not saying that they don't contribute to safety. I just didn't like the way they came out because the fact that they were killing people. That I didn't like. I hated airbags when they first came out. Now they don't bother me as much because I think they've improved to the point where they're not causing the injuries and deaths that they were. But when they came out, no, that was a government program. They didn't know what the hell they were doing, and they killed people. For I mean, it was just dumb.
I mean, I
They
think
push out
that's
technology before it's ready.
I think that's a little bit of everything though. That touches everything because you
That's
can't
true.
have innovation without some sort of progress. You know what I mean? Like progress is unfortunately there's going to be injuries or fatalities. The airplanes. When people started
Yeah,
first flying airplanes, people were, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. And now people look at
voluntary.
airplanes like taking a taxi. So it's
Yeah,
just
Tesla,
but
Tesla,
Tesla.
those
self-driving car,
There you
killing
go.
those
people.
oh, don't
You
get
know.
me
So,
started on that. You know where I'm going on that
yeah. And
one.
now
Because
so Mike's talking about one airbag coming and hitting you in the face. Now they're all over the car. So,
yeah,
it's definitely beneficial. But I'm waiting for the day. I mean, they have airbag vests now for people that ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy wears one of them. So,
Oh, he does. Okay.
but the technology, back to the technology on that Indian, the radar, blind spot protection, and I guess rear collision avoidance. That's just awesome, man. It's
Yeah.
I love to see it in action and see how it actually works, where the indication
Oh, yeah,
comes
me
from.
too.
You know, I would love to see that because that's, you know, again, it's just next level stuff. Why not? It's 2025. Why not? If you can do it, do it.
Yeah. 100%.
As long as you can turn it off, I'm okay with it. If
So
I can disable it,
yeah.
okay.
So from what I was reading, you can modify it to notify you in the mirrors, notify you in the dash. But I would assume they didn't say that it could be disabled, but I would assume there'd be some level of disablement. If that's
Yeah,
is
I mean,
that a word? Is that a word? There should be some
I got
level that you could disable the system, for whatever reason. But
What
there
bike
might
is
be.
that
I
on
mean,
right now?
Huh?
the
What
only
bike is
reason
that
I would
on?
disable it. Okay.
What bike is that on right now?
It's on the Challenger, Pursuit, and the Roadmaster and the Chieftain.
You need to pull that up because if it can be in the mirror, that means they have to change the mirrors,
Yes.
and
The
and
mirrors
also
have a slightly different shape, and on the inside there's a little LED light.
those mirrors are going to be more expensive too if something happens to it.
And you can't swap them out if you want different mirrors.
That's true.
Well,
you
yeah.
know,
If you have that system, yeah, maybe.
if you're somebody like Oscar, that doesn't matter to you. You know he's an OEM guy.
Oh yeah, I gotta leave it bone stock. Why would anybody change anything? That just doesn't make sense to me.
My bike is not
You get
bone
those
stock.
daggone Harleys, and you just got to change everything and
So look,
customize it, make it exactly the way you want it to be.
right, but check it out though. So here's the thing, right? So in my mind, if I buy a product, I don't want to completely change it because then it's no longer that product. It's something else. Which some folks are fine with that. And
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
most, I think.
And for me, I already like the design of the bike. I like the way it looks. I like the way it. There's so much about the bike that I like that I don't want to change it to take away from that bike. Instead of calling it a Pursuit, I'd have to call it a Finesse number 2. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
that to me, even like say we talking about cars, like classic cars, the resto mods, like those are cool, but it's no longer a Cougar, or it's no longer a Challenger. It's something else. So for me, that's how I look at it. So it's not to say
know
that
what?
any other way is wrong. It's just that's just
I
how
almost
look at it.
said, dude, we know this already, but I forgot. This is a podcast. Nobody,
Well,
other people don't know that. He did say in his mind, and yes, that's in his mind. He doesn't want to change anything. And I'm like, dude, when you moved in your house, did you change anything since
No,
you've
no,
been there?
no, no. I'm not saying
Yeah.
not change anything. What I'm saying is
You paint the walls.
the changes should be subtle. So like usually, if somebody comes and looks at my bike, I want them to like look at it and be like, okay, well, what's different? If you can, when you're going through the bike, when you notice the subtle differences, like whenever a new bike comes out and you see me staring at it, right? You see me staring at it all the time. It's because I'm taking in the bike, and I can notice those subtle changes. And for me, that's exciting. If I can be like, oh look, that that has a different chamfer on it. To me, that's cool. I don't
chamfer. What the hell is a chamfer?
Here we go. Last podcast, he was making up titles.
Well, I mean, chamfer. What the hell is that?
It's an
Chauffeur?
angle.
What's
Like
that?
say if you had like a sharp corner and you made it into an angle, that's a chamfer. Like
Here we
the
go.
fuel tank on the Harley Davidsons, they have a chamfer.
You know what? And I wanted to. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that too. I think in the last episode, either the last one or episode 2, you were talking about nothing really. You were like they didn't really change anything on the 24 models. It's forget about the frame. We talked about that already. Same frame. None of that matters. Of course, it's going to be the same frame. But I'm like, yeah, they definitely changed everything. And then you're like, well, the tank is the same. They just did this. If they just did this, that's a change. So you can't say it's the same, right? It's not going. It doesn't have to be so drastic. Here we go. Here we go.
No, look, man. Hey,
I
look,
can't say
we go.
anything.
Look, the wife
Your dog
just
is
got home,
okay.
man. Hold on. Anyway, so
Yeah, he's saying
so here's the deal, right? What gets me is when people say it's the new or it's the all new or the it's been, redone, blah, 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 right? So just as an example, when Indian Motorcycle for 2025 redid the Scout, that was an all new platform. The only thing that they carried over was like one body panel. That was it. There was nothing else the same. So, that's an actual new. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're saying, and I don't think the manufacturer said that. I think this was people. I think people were saying that it was all new, but it wasn't new. It was a refresh,
Okay.
and that's kind of what gets me, right, because it's still the same bike, which is fine, right, because change
What do you
is
mean by
incremental.
what do you mean by the same bike? Like the same name?
No, like the if you take a outline like a shadow, right, and you put it up against the other models, they're going to look relatively the same, right? There's going to be a few minor differences, right?
No, I disagree, man. There's a lot of differences. I mean, because I when I hear people say stuff like that, I say to myself, what do you really think? Like, how often does a new design come out and it is totally different? If I look at the prior S class to this S class, if you put them together, it's not that much differences. They changed a couple of things, but it's still going to be roughly the same car because that's the car. That's so.
Correct.
But
Correct.
it's different. The fairing is different. The tank is different. It's
Right.
lighter. It's different engine. Like, I mean,
Right, but that's not new. That's a refresh. The same
No,
thing
that's
happens.
new, man.
No. Look, the same thing
refresh
happens
is paint.
The same thing
Paint.
happens in the car world, right? So the GMC Sierra got a refresh. All they did was change the grille. Everything behind that still the same, right? That's a refresh.
Exactly. That's a refresh.
Correct.
You're right.
So when we're looking at the silhouette of the Road Glide, it still looks like the same Road Glide from before. It's just at least from what I saw, the front end looks different because they changed the headlight out and the shape of
hold on.
the shape of the fairing.
Changed
Time
the whole
out.
fairing.
Time out.
They changed the whole
Correct.
fairing.
Correct. They changed the
Isn't
fairing.
this the same guy that said that they copied the Indian Road Glide and now the new
No.
Road Glide looks like the old Road Glide?
No.
I'm pretty sure we got you on film, brother.
You would not hear me say anybody copied anything because when people say that
My.
no, hold on. Because when people say that brands copy other brands, to me that doesn't make any sense. Because even like when people are talking about the lowers for the Road Glide, and the people are like, oh, it looks like Indian. It does not. It's not even the same shape. I mean, they're two distinctly different. Are they similar? Yeah, but what else are they going to do? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you're telling me that one brand is copying another, I mean, to me that doesn't make sense. That's why I know for a fact you're not going to hear me say that.
So I'm glad you brought up I'm glad you used GMC as an example because that makes my point. You said all they did was change something on the front, everything else is the same. That's not the case with the Harley Davidsons. Everything is different. The seat,
Yep.
the rear fender, the front fender, the side panels, the handlebars, everything's different. So that's not a refresh. That's a change. Everything's changed.
Right, but
Now,
if
moving forward, this year, 2025, these are refreshes because they're just paint jobs, right? That's it. It's been refreshed by paint. But there's a lot of people that said, now that we're going to get back on topic, there's a lot of people that said, "Oh man, I wasn't excited with the 2025 lineup from Harley Davidson." And my response to that is, if you think you're going to be excited every year, any motorcycle manufacturer comes out with a new car, I got bad news for you. I mean, what are you expecting them to do? Now, when it's a new model year, like I thought it was going to be this year with Indian, I still don't know because the Elites are coming out. But I don't know. I think they're still going to have the same analog gauges. I hope they don't. I'm so curious to see what they're going to do. But the whole I'm not excited thing, I just don't understand that. Now, if we're going to talk about the lineups, 2025 from Harley Davidson, I really was hoping that we would get a limited model motorcycle. I was looking forward to that.
He did.
I am happy to. Yeah,
Ultra-
no, that's
ultra
an
limited.
ultra. That's not a
Ultra
limited.
limited. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the same thing.
clearly it's not. Clearly it's not. Because that's the big disappointment on my end and many people's end is that ultra. It's a street glide with a tour pack and lowers, right?
That's what the
And
Ultra Limited is.
No, it's not because the Ultra Limited has lights in the tour pack speaker pods, right? It doesn't have any of that. And one mistake they definitely made. So an Ultra Limited does not have a license plate frame on the rear fender. If you look at the rear of my motorcycle, it's just a badge that says CVO. That's it. The license plate frame is under the tour pack, and there's a mount for it there.
Right.
That's the
Right.
same bracket they put on the Ultra, even though the license plate frame on the fender. That's a mistake.
Well,
That was a mistake.
the CBO Limited or Ultra Limited, whatever you want to call it, that's the one that has a light inside the tour pack. The regular Ultra Limit does not have a light in the tour pack.
Yes,
It
it
has
does.
a brake light, but not
That's what I'm
inside the
talking
tour
about.
pack.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
about.
the
A
brake
brake
light.
light.
Okay, you said the brake light. I
Yeah.
thought you said inside of the tour pack.
Yeah, on the back and on the sides. The
Yeah,
Ultra Limited comes with that, and it makes sense because the tour pack is permanently affixed to the motorcycle. It's not removable.
Right. Right. Mhm.
That's the same thing they did on the Ultra. It's not removable, and that's a problem because now you have to run wires and stuff to put a brake light on the back of
Right.
it.
Right.
Obviously, on the CVO, it's connected to the remote to lock and unlock the bags and the tour pack. You don't have that.
Mhm.
So, but, and I'm disappointed that they still haven't come out with a new tour pack.
Yeah,
I
'cause
mean,
I thought they were.
yeah,
I
so did
thought they
I,
were.
man.
Yeah, I'm disappointed by that too because I wanted to see that. I wanted to see a brake light option for the tour pack. What I do like that they did, I like that they have lowers because
Yes.
lowers are must for long distance riding. I mean, if you're not doing long distance riding, I don't know if it's necessary, but you want to be on the road for a while. Bugs and rocks hurt.
Yeah.
They mess up your clothes. And now give me lowers or give me death.
So obviously I've been watching a lot of content on the 25 releases for both of the
Mhm.
companies that we're talking about, and what gets me is right for well I'll talk about Indian here in a second, but for Harley, right, with their when they're talking about this limited, they're talking about the releases, and people talking about, well, it's missing this or it's missing that or it's missing this, but that's what everybody says about Harley. They like, I want to buy it and then make it my own. But now that the bike doesn't come with X, Y, and Z, people are starting to complain. So it's, I mean, from a outsider, to me, that just seems I'd be frustrated with that, because if I want it to be like the bare bones version of whatever it is that I'm paying for, and then now because of this huge aftermarket, I want to put all this stuff on it, then why would, I mean, obviously it's not covering everybody, but the majority of people seem to be complaining about it, which to me just doesn't make any sense, but that's what you like about Harleys, because you can do whatever you want to customize it. But now that you need to do that, everybody's like, oh, well, why do I got to do all of this? So,
Well, you got to watch the words, because you're saying seems like the majority of people. We have to add in the majority of people that you've heard.
yes.
There's millions of people. There's millions of people we're talking about here, and
Right.
a lot of these people aren't on social media, so you'll never hear what they have to say. But we're just talking about this particular motorcycle. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't like something. That's got to be the toughest thing about making anything. Like this, to make a whole design change is such a gamble, because people don't like change. So when these bikes first came out, 24, 23 and a half, how many people were like, oh my God, it's awful, it's terrible, I hate it. And now you see them everywhere, right? So it's, it just is what it is. But on that motorcycle, the limited model, is because that's what's missing out of the lineup. So that's what
That's
people are
true.
waiting.
Well,
So for what Michael
the
said-
ultra limited is missing.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right,
The
right,
Ultra
but,
Limited.
But they
Yeah.
didn't come out with the ultra. They just came out with the limited. So that's what
They
I'm
came
saying.
out with
So
the
why
Ultra.
would?
No, they came out with the Ultra.
Oh, they
Not
came
the
out with the ultra. So if you already know that, if you're in the ecosystem for Harley, then if you know it's an ultra, why are you expecting an ultra limited? Like when no. What I'm saying, like when you go to look at it, like these people are the people that I've watched that do the reviews. They're like, oh, it's an ultra, but it doesn't have any speakers or this, that, and the other.
Oh,
But
I'm
it's
gonna tell
not
you why.
It's not an ultra limited, so why would you expect it?
I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Because even I didn't know this. Before this model, when else was there an Ultra? Like, I don't know. A lot of people don't know what the difference is between an Ultra and an Ultra Limited. So for instance, when I got my 21 CVO Limited, if I look at the sticker for that bike, it doesn't say Ultra Limited. It just says CVO Limited. So I don't know what the hell an Ultra Limited is. I thought a limited model motorcycle, if you look at a limited road glide has everything that an ultra limited has, right? It's the same thing, right? Nothing's different. So I don't know what the difference is in the words of ultra limited versus limited. Maybe CVO was only limited to just limited and not ultra for 2021. I don't know. But what I will say is, in agreement with Mike, but for me, it's more of an aesthetic thing with the lowers. I just love the way the bike looked with lowers. And knowing that now they have vertical lights that you can put into them, which are already available. I'm
Oh,
really
really?
looking forward to,
Well, I
yeah,
did not know that. Okay.
I'm really looking forward to see what those lights look like, because that's going to set that motorcycle apart.
Hmm.
Just those lowers makes a huge difference, in my opinion, how that motorcycle looks from the front. So,
Now, I'll say this. So uh, the for the Road Glide CVO in particular, when you put those lowers on there, you lose those little fang fairings that go on the side. So depends on whether or not you like that look. I like the way the fang fairing looks, but you know, you got to pick and choose. It's one or the other. Either going to have the fang fairings or lowers. So that's unfortunate, but I'm glad that they added lowers. I think that was a good move. But what I think my other point is, I think Harley Davidson is making it more of a you can accessorize and customize your bike with Harley Davidson. I believe Harley Davidson is trying to capture more of the accessory market, which makes sense. Anybody would do that, but I think that's what they're doing. So you can basically go online and they have a limited package. They have a special package. So you can still get a lot of these bikes the way they were, but you pick and choose what you want. It's more of a, cafeteria style, I guess, or whatever. You say, I want this, I want that, I don't want this. That's not important to me. And you kind of make the bike exactly the way you want it. Now, the downside to that, I don't know how that's going to work. I'd love to know how it's going to work from a dealer perspective, because if I want to custom make my bike, do I have to take something off the floor, or are they actually going to order it? And then how long is that going to take? Because I haven't heard them talk about that.
yeah,
So
you can order it. You clearly can order it.
Okay,
And
okay,
how long it's going to take is how long it's going to take.
right.
yeah, so I gotta make parallels here, right?
Okay, do
Because
so.
if from what you're talking about, at least your assumption of what's going on with Harley Davidson and how they're doing their upgrades and things, right? So Harley Davidson will have a catalog for their bikes straight from the jump. You can do this, that, and the other, and you're not necessarily reliant on other vendors, right? So that's to me, that's kind of like Indian Motorcycle, because for a while, you were really limited on where you could go for aftermarket parts,
Still
and
are.
and you can, you know what I mean. So Indian Motorcycle is capturing all of those customers because you're almost, you're being pointed in
They
that
don't have a
direction.
choice.
Yeah, you have a choice. But what I'm saying is you're pointed in that direction more so
Yeah.
anywhere else, which from a business standpoint is fantastic, because yes, if I make parts, I want you to buy my parts. So,
Sure.
it's just one of those things. But as far as like we're back where we're going with the 25 lineup, at least for Indian Motorcycle, I think the inclusion of the Chieftain and the Roadmaster was a fantastic idea. But it kind of goes back to that thing that I was talking about you guys with Harley, how I didn't like how the Street Glide and the Road Glide shared the same frame, because there was really nothing different, right? But you paid different prices for it. So I still I still feel that way, to be honest with you. However, with Indian Motorcycle, you're not paying a different price. So whether you get
Yeah.
the Pursuit or the Roadmaster, it's the exact same price. You're just gonna have to decide what you want to ride. Do you want the fork or the frame? So I think that was pretty cool. And they actually lowered the prices depending on which trim you get. I think it was like
Put that
they
road,
lowered
put,
it. They lowered it by like $2,500.
put
Oh,
that
did it?
Roadmaster on the screen if you can. Put that Roadmaster on the screen, because I still haven't
Oh,
seen this bike.
now,
I haven't
now,
seen.
finesse, yeah, Finesse did a video on a Roadmaster. It was a red one, I think. That was a good looking bike. That one I like. In
No,
fact,
no, that
it
was the
was. Wasn't
old.
that a Roadmaster?
That was the
I don't know
that was
about
that
old
old
or
one.
new.
Yeah,
I
that
just
was,
He
liked the
was.
one that he had on there. That was a good looking bike. That was a good looking motorcycle.
I had a conversation with Finesse, and he was telling me that the new Roadmaster with the 112 engine, and I told him I thought this was a mistake too. Literally, what they did was they're doing like Harley Davidson. they're making the Roadmaster like a Challenger, but with a fairing that moves, right? So apparently, it's now the Roadmaster is on the same frame as the Challenger and the Pursuit. And I said
Makes
to
sense.
him, it doesn't make sense to me because now when I hear Roadmaster, I think about that ugly bike with that ridiculous front fender.
You
Why
just have
didn't
to. You just have to
why
adjust
didn't
your.
they?
You
Yeah,
gotta
why didn't they
adjust your
just
thinking.
come up with a new name for you know what I mean? Just name it something else.
Well, that name's been around for a while. They can't get rid of that.
Sure, they could because it's a different motorcycle. It's not the same motorcycle, so they clearly could. You know, I don't know, but anyway, I'm curious to see what it looks like because now you're saying you can get the Roadmaster or the Pursuit, and the price is the same.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
But the price is not the same between the Pursuit and the Challenger. They're on the same
why would
frame.
it? Yeah, no.
They're on the same frame.
No. So the Challenger, you don't get lowers or a tour pack, so the price is going to be different.
So
On the
with these
Pursuit-
two, that
Right, it's like models. So on the Chieftain, it's going to be the same price as the Challenger base version, and on the Roadmaster, it's the same as the Pursuit. All right, so that's where I think you're kind of missing it. But
listen, don't show us a long bad video. Just there we go.
That's a nice profile shot. That's a good looking motorcycle right there. I like that.
yeah, so
I don't
like,
love the back of it. I don't love the back of it. It's dated, man.
now.
Yeah.
So when you do this Chieftain though, it's a little bit different. I'll show you here. Let me.
Yeah, I just want to see the Roadmaster.
Oh, the Roadmaster.
Yeah, that's what this was all about. Uh-oh, I saw the hideous one. Uh-oh. Verify you're a human. There we go.
So it's just that with the tour pack.
So this is the new Roadmaster.
Yeah. So
All right, wait,
okay.
pause right here. I have a question.
yeah.
So now I'm looking at the bottom of the bike. So if you had a motorcycle jack and slipped it under there, that's nice and flat.
Yeah.
But you can't use a motorcycle jack on these,
You
correct?
can,
Or am I
actually.
wrong? Oh, you can. Okay.
Yes.
Don't
In the
listen to
manu-
him, man.
In the manual, you can throw it up under there. I mean, it's just one of the things. Anyways, so
See. Whoa. See how he tried to get off the subject real quick? No.
What?
I gotta counter the BS right away because I own that bike. And they told me at the dealership. You do not jack that bike up because you're gonna wind up
Really?
messing something up underneath. So now you got to do some kind of. You got to have this at the right angle and put blocks under it and do all this stuff.
So there are a few lines that run underneath the bike, just like anything. It's just something that you're going to have to avoid. Other than that, you can jack the bike up. It's not a problem.
You don't have to. Oh, now in the Harley, they had brains when they designed the frame, knowing that people are going to want to jack it up. So why would you put lines right there where people want to jack the bike up? Put the lines above the metal and problem solved. That just doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
All
Anyway,
right. I'm gonna tell you what I like about this. This what I'm looking at here. What I like about the Indians, especially the profile shot. I like the lines because you got that big hump tank there in the middle, and then it kind of dips down into the seat and then goes up. It's just got nice lines.
yeah.
That's a good looking motorcycle right there.
Yeah,
That's a very, very good looking motorcycle.
And I know we're not going to talk about pricing overall, but for this price though, you get a heated and cooled seat. You get heated grips. You're getting 600-watt audio. You know what I'm saying? So
Joke.
So what's the joke?
600 watts. That's it.
Yeah, I
need
mean
more.
you can add 2 more speakers and get 800 watts if you like.
Keep-
That goes in the lowers. They doesn't come with those speakers in the lowers. But you're not for this price. Even if we go to like just say you wanted to get the bike. Oh, I guess we're in the same thing. Never mind. If you just wanted to get the bike, you got the 108, right?
33,000. Don't look cheap to me.
Yeah.
None of them are cheap. None of them are cheap.
None of them
Yeah.
are cheap, but it's going to be at a lower. But this is what I was talking about here, though. Once you get to the Chieftain, you're starting at 28.
Yeah.
But when I was telling Rob as far as the back end of it,
This is why. I mean, Finesse. He agreed with me on this. That's why I'm looking forward to the refresh because the back of the motorcycle that's dated. They got to do something different with those rear tail lights. They got to change that tour pack as well.
Yeah.
Even if they didn't change the way it looked,
Oh,
they just got to do
definitely
it
the tour
better.
pack. Hmm.
So the thing here is on the Chieftain and the Challenger, you're getting these closeouts. Before,
Yeah.
well, ooh man, I don't know. I have to check the Challenger. But before the Challenger, they took them off for whatever
Yeah.
because people were complaining about it. Because once you put a rack or something on there, but I like the way that looks where it's closed. There's no you can't see through it.
Yeah, it definitely looks better with the inserts, but it's still
Ugh. All right, so that's where you lose me right there. That's the angle about this bike I don't like.
Yeah. All
Ugh.
right.
what, the
All right.
fairing.
Hold on.
The
Hold
Yeah,
fairing.
on.
I don't like the fair.
I like look once they came out with the Challenger and the Pursuit, I wasn't looking at anything under it because it's what's new and I like the way it looks, except from the back.
I like the profile shot, not the front, and I really don't like the Pursuit, man.
It
This
looks
is
better with the
Challenger.
this is
lowers.
the
It looks
Roadmaster.
better with the lowers. What are we looking at here? Is this
Roadmaster.
the road? Oh, it's Roadmaster. Okay.
So if I were in charge of these bikes, a couple of changes I would make. I'm not even going to bring up the aircraft carrier turning radius, but 6x9 speakers in the saddlebags. I'd like to have that. And then the tour pack. I still prefer the way Harley opens from the side. Although I think about it sometimes, I can think of some advantages to the way Indian opens, but I still prefer it opening to the side. I think it's better if I have to stop on the side of the road.
All right. All right. So
But
six
those are the
by
changes, minor changes. That other than the front end thing is just kind of a personal thing, I guess. You like or don't like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-oh.
right with
Here
the
comes my noise. I got to pause for a minute.
And we got the dog with the goatee barking. We got all kind of stuff going on at the Merritt household.
Chris was coming home. Oh, you're back. All right. So my question was as far as like the 6x9s. Why 6x9s? Why would just
Well, I
I'm
mean,
just
I think a lot of people want more sound. I mean, some people might be happy with it, but when I'm going 80, 90 miles an hour down the road, if it were legal to go that fast, I want as much sound as I can get,
okay.
and smaller speakers, a smaller sound. But some people just want their bikes to sound good. And from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, those saddlebag lids cannot accommodate 6x9. Is that correct?
No,
'Cause I don't know.
they're not designed for that. So
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Make them so that you can put one in if you want to. That's the
right,
whole
but
customizing the bike thing.
right. So if it to me the larger speakers is like it's whatever because as long as you can hear it, you're not. And it's not like you're getting any bass, right? No matter
Right.
what
True.
you're doing, flying down the
Right.
road, as long
True.
as it's loud, and if you can't hear it with 800 watts, I mean, you got to be doing something faster than 150. You know what I'm saying? If you
To
can't
me,
hear
it just
800
has to
watts,
sound. It has to sound good,
yeah,
just cruising around. Because
yeah,
once you're in the highway, if I can still hear it, that's great. If you need it to be louder, then you're just gonna have to spend some money and get something aftermarket. It's just that
Right.
simple.
yeah.
And like you said, Mike, I think you said before that you listen to your music in your helmet anyway.
Whatever's comfortable for the moment. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I gotta mix it up. It
Ah,
just depends.
okay,
I don't do it the
okay.
same way all the time.
So for me, if I was going to change anything about that Indian, well, it's the same thing. So the infotainment, all of that's dated. The front of the motorcycle is fine. The side of the motorcycle is fine. I love the way the engine looks. I just don't like the back. That's it. Everything else is fine. The handlebars are too short, but that's the same thing on most motorcycles, except for the new Road Glide, because those are just right out of the gate. Those are good. And
They are
Mike,
not
hey
very
Mike, the
attractive.
lowers, those new lowers. Bring up the
Hmm.
Ultra, please, because what I did notice, I still haven't seen these in person, so I'm looking forward to seeing them in person. One thing it looks like they corrected, I could be wrong, but now the engine guard is exposed more. So in the other models of the
Mm.
lowers, the engine guard it was no guarantee it was going to protect the bottom part of the lower, right? And on the
Very
Pursuit,
true.
not at all. On the Pursuit, not at all. The engine
Oh,
guard doesn't come
really?
out far enough at all. Yeah,
Also, if you drop
it's
a
going to
pursuit,
cut.
it's going to land on. Oh, wow, that sucks.
Yeah,
No,
it's going to scratch it.
so it will scratch it. I mean, you're not like resting on it.
No, hell,
Yeah,
I don't want to scratch. Not on my
yeah,
lowers.
exactly.
I don't mind scratching engine guards. They're supposed to get scratched, but not my
Yeah,
lowers.
So
yeah.
and then like I was saying before any of this came out, my whole thing with the infotainment because I mean you're not. I mean, even if the screen was bigger, right, and we were still having the issues with connectivity and other things that we're having, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, you're not using that much of the screen anyway, right? And when I'm flying down the road, yeah, it looks pretty and it looks modern when it's sitting still, but I'm not looking at it. And then if you're telling me I'd get a bigger screen and we'd still have issues, I'd rather have the smaller screen and not have any issues. So,
But you keep saying that. I don't understand that approach. Of course, if you have issues, we're not talking about issues. We're just talking about getting rid of the analog gauges and giving a bigger screen. The point is when you're limited to what you can do if the screen is small. Once you make the screen larger, there's a bunch of things you can do. They can even do stuff better by giving you more customization of the screen, like they do with what they currently have has more customization.
Right. So this is you're coming from a lens of with Harley Davidson, their highest selling bikes are touring models, right? For Indian Motorcycle, their highest selling bikes are the Scouts. The Scouts don't have any analog gauges; it's all digital. So, if
that's what the girls prefer.
Whatever, I mean, whatever you want to quantify it as, but if their highest selling bike has the tech, just like Harley Davidson's highest selling bike has the tech, then it is what it is.
That's a fair argument. That's a fair argument. I'll take that.
Well, he's going to Harley Davidson dealers. I mean, he's going to Harley Davidson's website, so good. But didn't you tell me that the new Breakout, the 25 Breakout, went back to analog gauges?
Yep.
You got to show me that too.
Look, the entire Softail lineup went back to analog gauges.
I don't understand that at all. I don't. You got the wrong motorcycle up there, man.
Yeah. This is just
It's the right motorcycle because it's a CVO, but it's the wrong motorcycle because we're looking for the Ultra. I got to see these lowers and see the engine guard that protrudes from the new lowers.
You're going to have to pick one. Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So you see that, Mike?
Oh,
see the difference?
Yep.
So now when that tips over, when that tips over, it looks like the lowers are going to be just fine. That's awesome. I love that. Not that I'm planning on tipping over a motorcycle. Yeah. I mean, just look at that. That just completes it. See those slots? Slots?
I think if you look at this flat side that's on the bottom, the angle that goes up to the guards, right? Mm-hmm. Assuming you're dropping it on flat ground, it's not going to be a problem. But if it's uneven ground, which most likely it will be, you're going to scratch that bottom anyways. If you got lowers, you're not getting around it. You're gonna scratch it.
So I'm just about this. Really, a typical Indian guy. You got to look for something. If the ground's uneven, there's a pole on the ground. Yeah, you're gonna scratch something.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. Even if we're in the parking lot and those variances, right? When the bike falls over, it's not like solid. It flexes. It's plastic. So the same thing happens with the Pursuit. You're gonna scratch it.
It's plastic, but the plastic parts shouldn't be touching the ground, so it doesn't matter.
Well, shit, the bike shouldn't be touching the ground, except for the tires.
I disagree with that. That's why those guards are there, and of course, this one comes with saddlebag guards. So
and then the
that's
tour
good.
pack.
Okay.
They should. I still don't understand why they don't make these tour packs. You can take them off.
They do, but this one has a permanent.
Thing
you're showing there.
Pack. Yeah. That's how it comes. That's what I'm saying.
No, they don't.
So any tour pack that Indian Motorcycle has, you can take them off. Just as a comparison. I'm not saying they should. All I'm saying is that I don't understand why Harley Davidson, like they wouldn't have their tour, like all of them. Why make two different types? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Some of them have electronics in them, whether it be electronic locks, lights inside the tour pack, or brake lights, speakers. Yeah. Now, obviously, you can make a quick disconnect harness for that as well, but they just haven't. But I agree with you. It'd be nice because I on my 18 Road Glide, I'd like to be able to take the tour pack off sometime, but I can do it, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Here's my take on that. It's work on that Indian too, but that's why you don't see Oscar taking it on and off and on and off. He took it off for a while. He put it back on. I think it looks hideous with it off. It looks much better with it on. So I'm glad he keeps it on.
I keep my camera.
My take on wanting to remove it is, then buy a motorcycle that doesn't come with a fixed you have the option. That's the whole point I'm making. You have the option. If you want to be able to remove it, then you just buy a regular Road Glide, not a Road Glide Limited. That's all. Whoever buys a Limited, they're buying it because they're always going to have that tour pack on, and that's what they want.
Well, they don't have a choice. So
Yes,
here's
they
the deal.
do. They do have a choice.
No, no, no.
Buy a
So
Oh,
regular
you can
Road
change it
Glide.
out.
Buy a
Right.
tour
But
pack.
if you get a regular Road Glide and buy the tour pack afterwards, you're going to spend more money.
Again, that's not all about
Probably.
that.
No,
I keep telling you.
I get that, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is it's already there. They already have it. What's the point of keeping it hard mounted to the bike if you already have the option to where it comes apart? To me, that's antiquated. That's old. It's all about customization and making it your own.
I like it.
If I
like it because-
get the Pursuit, and one day, if I'm not doing a lot of traveling, or maybe I'm by myself, whatever the case may be, I take the tour pack off, ride around. You can do what you want to do, and then when the wife wants to jump on, you put the tour pack on, and you out. So, but with these, which I just think I'm not saying it's incorrect or wrong. I think they just missed an opportunity there because
It's incorrect on the Ultra. It's incorrect on the Ultra, in my opinion, because it's not. Again, there's no lights on the bag. There's no speakers on the bag. There's no reason to make it permanent because it's nothing to
That's true.
disconnect. So for that bike, it doesn't make sense. But if it's an Ultra Limited with a bunch of stuff on it, and again, this is all about obviously opinions. In my opinion,
Right.
if you buy a bike with a fixed anything on it, that means you want that. Otherwise, you wouldn't buy that bike. That's it.
Yeah, but again, I think they're handcuffing you because you can't.
Negative.
Well, I'm talking about if we're talking about just buying the bike, right? Because some people don't want a wrench on their bikes, right? So if you're saying that in order to get this bike, you have to have the tour pack and it has to be hard mounted, then for those people that just want the bike and want the lowers, I mean, obviously you can buy the lowers separate, but you know what I'm saying? If you're just looking to get into the bike and you don't ever have anybody riding with you, I mean, it is.
Here's what I'm going to say. Because obviously there are people that have changed it and made it so that you can take it off. Those people are far and few between. And the reason is you don't buy the customer for an ultra limited motorcycle doesn't want to take the tour pack off. So they're not handicapped. They don't want to take it off. And I remember you said, man, I didn't know about this tour pack thing, man. That tour pack life, that's what it is, man. Because I mean, I could go away, I could put me and Chris helmets, blah, blah, blah. I remember we had that conversation. So
Yeah.
that's how most people feel. It's like you take it off and you feel as soon as it's off, it's like it's missing. I'm missing something. So they just leave it on. I like the way it looks personally.
Yeah.
With or
I would
without
like
tour
the way
pack?
I like the way. What depends on the motorcycle,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Like the Pursuit, I would never take the tour pack off that bike because it just looks better with it. It's so funny because it really depends on the bike. There's some people's road glides that I would say, like the ST. I would never put a tour pack on my ST, right?
Right.
But if I saw somebody's with a tour pack and it was maybe a chopped tour pack instead of a king tour pack, it's still going to look good. So it's
Right.
we're dealing with
I like my
semantics.
CBO without the tour pack, but
Mhm.
I didn't have anywhere to store it, so I ended up
What?
putting it on the bike, and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna leave it on there. So I
Did you
never
say you
take
have
my
no
tour
place
pack
to
off.
store it? You have no
No.
place to store it, you said?
Well, I mean, I can. It's in the way. I mean, if I could stick it up in the air somewhere and get out of my way and not have to think about it, yeah, it'd be great. But I
Yeah,
just
you
put it on
could.
the bike, and it makes my life easy because it's always there. But I prefer the look of the bike without the tour pack. It looks sportier to me, or it makes the bikes
Yeah.
look a little smaller. The tour packs
Mhm.
make them look bigger than they, makes
Yeah.
the bikes look bigger. So all of them,
Yeah.
in my opinion, look better without a tour pack. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that if you have a tour pack, it should be optional to keep it on or take it off, no matter if you got
Yeah.
speakers in it or not. To me,
That'd be
that
nice.
just doesn't.
I
That
concur.
just doesn't make sense to me. But it's whatever. Which is why nobody's forcing me to buy one. But we are kind of running a little long here. I think we may end up having this edit all the way on the channel, just because we've talked about some stuff that I think was pretty good. But one of the last things I want to touch on is something from Q's video. Right, he was saying that he had watched this movie called Ready Player One, and
Yep.
he said that movie sucked compared to the audio.
The movie.
book. Right. Compared to the audiobook. But what I want to ask you is, I know you already said it on your channel, but for those that hadn't watched it, what was your reasoning saying that the differences between the two that you didn't like?
Right. So for those of you who don't know, on my latest video, I do outtakes at the end of all of my videos, and it's just random whatever I happen to think of at the moment. So in this my latest video, I did a review of an audiobook that I listened to called Ready Player One. And Ready Player One was they made a movie out of it. And I heard about the movie before I heard about the book. Because actually, when I heard about the book, I'm like, wait, that's a movie. What are you talking about? So anyway, I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was outstanding. And I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and watch the movie. And I'm like, this movie sucks. And it's Steven freaking Spielberg. And he's like one of the greatest directors ever, or at least he's supposed to be. That movie sucked. It's terrible.
Why though?
He
Why?
ruined the book.
Why?
Ruined the book.
Why?
He said a lot of stuff.
because
and
the
didn't
book-
answer
No.
questions.
Hold on. It's the why. It's the why that got me. So why did it?
Runt.
Why?
Runt. Why? Because they changed. I believe the book and the movie have a completely different audience. The movie, in my opinion, is targeted towards younger people today. The audiobook probably wouldn't make a lot of sense to younger people today because it references a lot of things that you would only know if you grew up in the 70s and 80s. But the audio or the movie kind of glossed over all of that. And they made it about the gaming thing or the VR thing. And that's really not what the audiobook is, or it's not what the book was about. The book was actually about why you shouldn't do that. Because the main character in the book, he's regretting all these things. He's like, well, I don't have a girlfriend. And, I've never had sex with anyone. And
Hold
all
on.
of this crap.
Hold
And then at the end of the book, he falls in love with this girl, and then he finally gets to see her. And throughout the book, they're having this grand debate about, well, what do you look like? Well, what do you look like? You might actually be a boy posing as a girl, or you might be this old fat man.
So
It's a different audience. The movie, I don't think you could even do that in a movie. I don't know how you can do it. It's just not the same.
Rob, have you seen this movie?
Movie sucks. Don't.
You have not.
Don't.
I so
Don't.
wish I'd have told you to
Please
watch this
don't.
movie before
Save your
we
life.
got on the show. Because what Q is describing, you have to watch this after the fact. What Q is describing is what happened in the movie. Okay? Because when my family and I sat down to watch this movie, Chris and I were just going over, like we were head over heels because it brought back all those memories from when we were kids, playing Nintendo, playing Sega, doing all of these things. And what he's describing in the book is exactly how is what was translated in the movie. Because
Did you?
the movie, hold on. The basis of the movie, because I've never read the audiobook, the basis of the movie
There you go.
was pay more attention to the world around you than being sucked into this gaming and online and VR, right? They were
Fair.
using that as a vessel. Now,
Right.
you're saying that it catered to a younger crowd. It only catered to a younger crowd because the actors were younger. But everything that he regretted about not having a personal life, not having a girlfriend, never kissing someone, not meeting
Right.
people in person, all of these things happened in the movie.
Read the book or listen to the audiobook. Listen to the audiobook, and then you come tell me that they're the same. The movie and the book are different.
All right, but everything
Always.
you're
It's
not the
describing,
same.
everything you're describing in the audiobook happened in the movie, though. That's what I'm saying. That's
to the-
when
listen
I
to the
saw your
audiobook.
video, I just laughed and I was like, "There's no way I can type all that."
So, a couple of things. You gotta realize that Mike is a little bit of a Poindexter.
Yes, correct.
So he's like, Oscar, read the book. That's not gonna happen. This is not gonna
Absolutely
happen. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now, I will say, because Mike does the long distance riding, that's when he tells me, yes, sometimes I'll listen to an audio book, and that's probably the perfect time to do it.
Heck yeah.
Because if anybody tells me, hey, did you read the book to this movie? I'll always look at them like this.
Right.
I ain't reading no damn book. I'm gonna watch the movie and then I'm out. 2 hours or less.
100%.
I'm telling the audiobook. Just try the audiobook. The audiobook is outstanding.
You're wasting
Well,
your breath, man.
The movie can't. And the reality is that it's impossible for a movie to compete with a book. It's just
Yeah.
it's no comparison because the book you can go into all of these grand details that would you don't have time to do in the movie. In the movie, you got 2 hours. The
I
book
Right.
think I
might take
think
you 14 hours to read it.
I think you're right and you're wrong at the same time, right?
I'm never wrong,
Because
sir. Did you not look at my name?
because
You, Mister Always Right.
because a book can never compare to a movie, because in a movie you're directed into thinking however the director wants you to think, right? Whereas in a book, if something is being described to you, you're putting your own personality into it, even though you're reading someone else's words. So you can envision the description of a character different than what I'm envisioning to it, and you're automatically going to do something, especially if you're interested in it. You're going to make up
Yeah.
something in your head that you're going to be interested in. So,
Can
no,
I make a suggestion, sir?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look at his face. Here it comes. Go ahead.
This call's going to go for another hour.
No, it's not. I'm telling you that you're right, but you're also wrong with that, because
I am never
for those
wrong, sir.
reasons.
But
I'm just saying,
never wrong.
for
Listen,
your
so I can clean this whole thing up.
yeah.
I remember when you know how many people said to me, the book, The Color Purple, was way better than the movie. Anytime anybody ever says anything like that to me, I'm never going to be able to say you're right, because I'm not reading no book on a movie. I'm just not going to do it. So we can end right there. This is a Poindexter conversation, Mike, that you need to have with fellow Poindexters.
Well,
Like your wife and my wife. You can have that conversation with them.
And wait a minute. Time out. I do have one request for all of our viewers. If you are still here, I need you to go to the comment section and tell Finesse how wrong he is about literally everything, in particular that crappy movie Ready Player One. I don't know how many Rotten Tomatoes should be thrown at that movie, but everyone that's available, please leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know that you agree with me. That's all I need.
We're gonna do
I
something.
want to count. I
We're
want
gonna
to
do
count
something a
on
little
how
different
many
today.
people.
We're gonna let Rob take us out for
Take
our
us out,
outro.
Rob.
So you don't have to listen to this guy anymore.
Well, I feel like I've already been taken out talking about this audio book and this movie. So I want to apologize to anybody that had to endure that. But I am going to watch the movie just so I have some perspective on what's happening. And Mike, you're going to lose because I can't talk about the audio book because it's never, ever, ever going to. Well, you know what? I'm getting ready to, I know I'm going to be driving to Ohio to do a practice session. Youngstown, Harley Davidson. That's about 12, 13 hours in the car. Perfect time to listen to an audio book, but also a perfect time to doze off and run into a ditch. So I'm still not going to listen to it. Mike, we can't hear you, man. Your lips are moving, but there's no sound.
You will not fall asleep. Promise.
Yeah, I will. I'll fall asleep, but I won't go into a ditch because I have Super Cruise. But anyway, listen, we appreciate you guys joining us. We ran a little bit long. You may as well get used to that because when we talk, we have topics, and a lot of the times we go left or we go right. We're off the cuff. We're just three guys that enjoy talking to each other, and we appreciate you guys hanging with us. So, with that being said, I'm Rob.
I'm Finesse.
Cue the writer.
Shout out to Q for being on point and on time this time. Love you guys. Listen, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps us out.